Hello, Facebook Live. Hello, good evening, beautiful people. Good evening, good evening, good evening. It is Deshawn Booker, your maximizing coach. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. I like to call it Woke Wednesday. So listen, when you join in, let me know you are there. Hello, Naya. Hello, everyone that is joining us this evening for the conversation. I always want you to say hello. Listen, some of you join and you don't even say anything. Stop doing that. Type in a hello to me, a greeting. It's etiquette, right? If you saw me in the supermarket, you would come up to me and you would say, hey, Deshawn, hello. So yes, say good evening, hello, and let me know where you are joining us from. Okay, let me know where you are from, because not everyone is from Los Angeles, which is where I am. So please let me know that you are in the conversation. You're joining us tonight. And I want you to stay the entire time. I want you to stay in. You know, I know a lot of times people say, ooh, somebody's live. What are they doing? Is it something, they at the party, they at the concert, are they talking about something, socially where they are? Well, sometimes you need to have something deposited into your soul. So I want you to sit with us, right? And have this awesome conversation. Hello, everyone. Yes. Hello, Omar. Oh, Omar, how are you from Sunrise, Florida? Thank you. Hartford. Oh, my goodness. Someone from Hartford, Connecticut. Let me know where you are. Let me know when you've joined the conversation. Okay, we want to make sure that we build an audience. I'm not going to hold you long, as I always say. I am Deshawn Antoinette Booker, your maximizing coach, and I'm so excited to be here with you this evening in the space. We are talking about some great things that are happening. Hello, April. Hello. Yes, listen, I want you to share the video as well. Make sure that you share this video as we are live, okay? You can do that. Do not keep all of this juicy information for yourself, okay? Do not do that. So, all week I have been coming to you because I am giving you an appetizer for my free webinar that is taking place this Friday. I keep doing this like Fridays over there. Look, this Friday. This Friday, the webinar is free for women, but men, if you know some women that are ready to ignite their dreams and their fire of their lives, right? Tell them about the free webinar, which is Get Hungry for Your Desires. Well, how can we even get hungry if we don't even know that we're entitled to them? So this entire week, I've been coming to you and giving you an appetizer on why we are entitled to our desires. That's what I've been doing. So I'm so excited that you're joining me. Good evening. Hello, Richard. Hello, Tamika. Listen, make sure you stay in. You don't want to say, oh, she's just talking about something that's informational. I'm talking about something that is going to propel you to your success. I am depositing into your life. That's what I believe that I am doing and knowing that I am showing up to do. Okay. Hello, Pat. So I want you to stay the entire time of this conversation, and I want you to be an active participant. I don't have to be shaking my, for you to stay, right? Do I have to do this for you to stay in the conversation? I can do that, right? I can wrap my message to you, okay? But I want you to get these juicy nuggets. I want you to get these pearls of wisdom so that you can understand that you are worthy of your desires. That's what I want you to do, okay? So again, I want you to share the video and stay the entire time. So welcome to the conversation with Deshawn Antoinette Booker, your maximizing coach. And tonight I'm coming to you live. That's right. From Gardena, California. That's where I am. I'm coming to you live, and I am speaking to you on the keys on why you are entitled to your desires. Let's go over what they were. The first one that I spoke to, let me make sure I don't get them mixed up. The first key that I gave you as to why you are entitled to your desire is because you are custom made. So make sure you go back to this Facebook page and look at that Facebook video. You are custom made. You are unique. So you are entitled to your desires. Okay. Hello, Pat. Key number 2 as to why you are entitled to your desire. I said we must stop judging and evaluating ourselves and stop comparing ourselves to others. We have to stop doing that, right? Key number 3 is that we must listen to our within. We must listen to our within. Let me just remove that. We must listen to our within ourselves. I talked about that. That was some good, juicy deposits on that key there. Okay. And then tonight, key number 4 is we must refuse to worry. So I want you to write that down. We must refuse to worry. All right. So I am giving you an appetizer on why we are entitled to our desires, which is leading to my free webinar this Friday, April 6th on Get Hungry for Your Desires. And everything, all the information is right there in the description, right? And so make sure that you get that. Make sure you share with others. Make sure you listen, women, I want you to get your girlfriends involved, and I want them to be a part of this awesome webinar, this journey, because this year I have declared is the year Activate Your Within 2018. Activate Your Within 2018. I love the way that sounds. Hi, Kimberly Williams. Hello. Again, when you join us, let us know that you're here, okay? And I want to know where you're from. Where are you from? So, again, I have declared this year, Activate Your Within 2018. Welcome. I am Deshawn Antoinette Booker. I have been working with women and youth for over 20 years in the arena of empowerment. It is not something that I take lightly or casually. It is in my DNA. I remember when I was young and I was in school, right? And I used to always get standards. Does anyone remember standards, right? When a teacher made you write a sentence for like 100 times or 200 times? Whoo, girl. Listen. And young man, listen. I always got standards, and I had to go home and have my mom, may she rest in peace. Miss you, mommy. I had to always have my mom sign my standards, and I would wait till she was taking a nap. And I would say, Mom, can you sign this? This is something at school, you know, I don't know what it's about, a trip or something. I kind of told a little lie, right? And I would have my mom sign the standards. And do you know what my standards was saying all the time? Hello, Mario. Do you know what my standards, what I always had to write? I will not talk in class. I will not talk in class. Listen, I had something to say, obviously, right? And I have been talking ever since. I have been talking ever since. My teachers tried to shut me down. You can't shut me down. Listen, I was in the first grade and I had things to say. All right. I was in the 4th grade and I had things to say. I've always had something to say, which is why I have grown into becoming a transformational speaker, a coach, facilitator, a college instructor, director, producer. Listen, I've had my own radio shows, cable shows. And so I couldn't help it. It was in my DNA. I had something to say, and I have something to say to you tonight. It is my desire to deposit into you all of the juicy nuggets of how you need to understand that you are entitled to your desires. Hello, Guy. Thank you for joining the conversation. It doesn't matter where you are in your life. See, some of us think, well, you know, Deshawn, I'm doing good. I'm working my job. I'm working my career. I'm doing, you know, my dream job. I'm exercising, all of those great things. But sometimes we will still do what? Pause, right? And take a stop because we're not quite sure about really fulfilling our dreams. We're just not. But some of us are not really going to even admit to that. That's okay. I'll admit to it. So tonight I'm speaking to you about not worrying. We have to stop being in a place, in a space of worry all of the time where we will actually worry ourselves out of our own desires. So, what I know for sure is that living in this world, we are constantly, always being enticed with worrying. Worrying is a constant, isn't it? If it is, say yes. Give me the thumbs up if you know that it is, right? Give me the hearts if you like what I'm saying, okay? If it registers to you. We are always worrying about something. And here's what I want you to understand. Yes, Naya, even as young children are worried. We start worrying about how many friends we have, who likes us in school. Even in elementary school, we start to worry. Are my new friends going to like me? Is the teacher going to like me? Are my coworkers going to like me? We worry about everything. We worry about how my hair looks. Every single thing we do, we worry about, right? And so what we have to remember is that worrying is when there's the absence of trust. Worrying is when there is the absence of trust, pure trust. If you and I made a commitment that we were going to allow the space in which our consciousness, our thoughts and attitudes and behaviors lived in and resided in, we would blow up day by day if we decided to allow trust to be the foremost thing that we move and walk in and have our being. Listen, today is the day that we have been celebrating all over the world 50 years of Dr. Martin Luther King's assassination. There has been a celebration of his life all over the world today. It made 50 years. Can you believe it? Awesome legacy he has left with us. Awesome man who had a dream, who had desires. And of course he worried. But do you know what Dr. Martin Luther King decided to do? Well, I'm going to tell you because he had a quote. His quote was this. Dr. Martin Luther King said, "Faith is taking the first step without seeing the entire staircase." Faith is taking the first step without seeing the entire staircase. You know, I like to settle in things. I like to breathe in and breathe out. That is what that man said and believed and demonstrated in his life. That is what we are to do, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to get this tonight in this conversation. I want you to get it. 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 That when we worry, we are saying no to trusting. We are saying no to faith. And so when we even worry about our desires, should they even be our desires? How are they going to manifest? We will talk ourselves out of the very thing God has deposited into your life, into your soul. And I don't want that to happen any longer. I'm showing up and I'm showing out for all of you. I'm committed to working with women. I'm committed to working with people, but women particularly, for 3 reasons. I want women to get intentional. I want women to live and work from a place of integrity so that they can manifest increase in their lives. So that's why I'm here tonight with you, right, Kimberly? She says, amen. Yes, amen. Amen. So when we are worrying, we are allowing our consciousness, our thought lives to have no faith. And I'll tell you this, you and I are responsible for our thought life. Did you know that? You and I are responsible for our thought life. No one else. No one else. Yes, Pat, we must be intentional. We must be intentional. It is when we are intentional that we change the narrative to our lives. When we are intentional, we set the reality. Someone hashtag that. When we are being intentional creates reality. Being intentional creates reality. Yes, and being consistent. We drop the ball. We drop the ball. So I want to give you a few, I have a long list here, of ways that we obsess over our desires, how we show up, right? And obsess and worry over our desires. We'll say something like this. Will I achieve my desires? Thank you, Naya. Will we achieve my desire? Are my desires realistic? This is how we worry over our desires. Are my desires realistic? Will I have the money to have my desires come true? Will I have the resources to support my desires, right? I'm sure these sound very familiar to you, right? Will my desires be accepted? Will my desires be validated? Will my desires be supported? Ooh, by my family and my friends. Listen, I talked about that before, that you only get your source of validation comes from the divine. Whoever your highest source is, that's where your validation comes from. Yes, yes, yes. Hello, Belinda. Thanks for joining. Thank you. Yes. So these are some of the reasons or statements that we make when we become to worry about our desires. Let's keep going. How can I do this? How far will I get? Should I do it now? Should I do it later? Should I do it ever? Talking about our desires, we begin to worry and worry and worry. What if I fail? Listen, you haven't even taken the first step yet. It could be that you're working on great things right now, but you may have other desires in your heart. You may want to do some collaborations with other people. You may want to do global work. Come on, why can't we do global work? Why can't we make a global impact? And then we ask ourselves, well, can I do that? Should I do that? And we began to worry. We began to worry ourselves right out of our desires. When you are worrying, let me share something with you. When we begin to worry, it's because we want to be in control. Yeah. You want to be in control. We want to be in control of every aspect of the vision that we have. We just want to continue to know what's going to happen. How is it going to manifest? Well, there's no trust there. There's no trust when we want to begin to worry and then we want the control. And when we put control before faith, before God, that becomes an idol. Did you know that? That becomes an idol. Yes, it does. It absolutely does, right? Another reason why we began to worry is because of something called our blueprint. Some of you who've been coaching with me, you know what I mean when I'm talking about, hello, Chris, when I'm talking about our blueprint. We worry because we have this blueprint, and when our blueprint doesn't show up the way that we want, we worry. Well, wait a second. Your blueprint is wonderful for the season in which you created it. But as we grow, as we move, as we have our quantum leaps in life, right? We may have to make adjustments to our blueprint. Listen, let me tell you about the blueprint. The blueprint needs adjusting at times. You know why? Because life happens. You have unforeseen situations, right? You have barriers that try to come up. You have detours and all those things happen. And so your blueprint must be adjusted to your life circumstances. When you adjust your blueprint, you will not fall into the pit of worry. You won't. You'll then begin to what I talk about open outrageousness. You allow that to happen. But listen, I'm going to talk about this juicy concept that I speak to, open outrageousness, in the webinar. I'm going to talk about that. Hello, Jennifer. Thank you for joining the conversation. Thank you for joining. So good to have you. So listen, again, when we're talking about worrying, right, we don't want anyone to think that we're not concerned, but we are simply removing the worry so that you can then replace it with trust. With trust. So Pat asked a question. Good question, Pat. How often should the blueprint be adjusted? I love that. How often should the blueprint be adjusted? Our blueprint needs to be adjusted according to the season in which we are in within our lives. So that's something else I talk about in my coaching. when you identify what season you're in your life, then you understand that you need to adjust the blueprint. So let me give you a specific example, Pat. I'm so glad you asked that question. Your blueprint may have been, for example, right, once you complete college or your training, okay, whatever your certification is in and your training skills and your college, then you're going to go and you're going to get, your dream job, and you're going to work at this dream job, and you want to make a certain amount, right, which is fine, and you want to buy a home, and you want to have a nice car, and you may want to be married and have children by a certain age. Well, let's say you hit that certain age and you still are not married. You may not have children. You may not have, traveled the world like you like, or, have your children and have your spouse. So this is, Pat, where you adjust the blueprint. You say, okay, well, I'm not a homeowner as I thought I would be. I'm still renting. So let me adjust my blueprint. What is it that I can adjust so that I can begin to shift my blueprint to where I am now? Maybe I can begin to look at investing. Maybe I can begin to look at, why is it that I'm not a homeowner? What have I been doing that leads up to this moment in my life? What has been my thought process? Change your blueprint. Do I need to now go and enroll in some classes, some trainings, right, on becoming a homeowner? Do I need to begin to see how I need to create what we call buckets of finance? I talk about that too in my one-on-one coaching. I talk about how do you create buckets of income. So you begin to look at your blueprint so that it begins to shift where you are. Yes, self-evaluation. Where are you, right? What does that look like? What does your consciousness look like? What are the other areas of your life looking like? Begin to make adjustments to the blueprint. Look at your circle, your network, right? Who are you, in a networking with, right? Are you with like-minded individuals, okay? So do you have a mentor in your life, a coach in your life? You want to begin to make those things work for you. Work for you. Absolutely, Chrissy says, one thing I want to do is build a home from the ground up. It's not as hard as people think. No, it's not as hard. So Chris has a desire to build his home from the ground up. Now, Chris is not going to worry about what that looks like down the road, because if he thought about what that looks like, the end result, what he would do is talk himself right out of it. Right, Chris? You will talk yourself right out of it. So what Chris does is, the desire is to build my own home. But here's what he has to also do. Chris also attaches the why to that. Why does Chris want to build his home from the ground up? Because Chris has a vision. He has a vision that that home will not just be a place that's beautiful, but it will be his sanctuary. It's going to define and represent his values. And so that's also something that he wants to live in, his values and what that means to him. And he has a sense of accomplishment, right? And so if he accomplished that, look at what that speaks to in terms of his personal narrative, his personal life story. So, those are the things, you began those steps. I'm so glad you shared that, Chris, right? I'm so glad. Yes, it isn't about thinking about the outcome. No, the why. What's the value that's attached to your desires? I talked about that on the video last night. What are the values? Once you are attached to a value of something that you love, you say, wait, I feel fulfilled when I'm doing that. That's when you take the steps and you just do it. You just do it. Okay? So I want to give you a little story. I went to Howard University. Okay? I'm going to put my little notes down. I went to Howard University, HU, and before I went, my mom, my dad, my brothers, my auntie, my uncle, her husband, and my cousins decided they were going to make a vacation out of it. It was so beautiful. I love it. And they got on the plane with me, my mom, my dad, my aunt, her husband, my uncle Michael, Auntie Pat, and, my brothers and my cousins, Lanice, Mikey, my brother, Jermaine and Jamar. And so we're on this flight to DC to take Deshaun to Howard University because I had a desire in my heart. And that's what I was driven to do. So we go, we have a great time. I had no place to live. If any of you know anything about a historical black university, listen, they don't always do things the way they should. And I was accepted. And of course, the housing is always taken. There's a what is it called? A waiting list. I wasn't even on the waiting list. So we get out to DC and I have no place to stay. And I do mean no place to stay, okay? And so, one second, I'm getting something here. Okay. I had no place to stay. I'm praying. I've always been a prayer warrior. I was praying and, my family was in agreement that Deshaun, we're going to go out there and we're going to find, you're going to get into one of those dorms. Well, I did. I got into a dorm and I actually had my own room. I got a single. So, as my family was beginning to leave, to come back to Los Angeles, we go up to my room. We had gone over to one of the stores and got all the things that I needed and came back and did the cleaning and setting me up and taking the pictures. And so it was time for them to leave. They were going to go do some more, what is it called? Some more, go tour, sightseeing. And then they were going to leave that next morning. So I go downstairs with my family to say our goodbyes. My mother couldn't take it. She couldn't even, come and give me her hug. She just walked away to the car. And so my dad comes up to me and he's so logical, right? A math teacher. Both my parents were in education. And so my dad comes up to me and he gives me this hug. We're standing outside of the dorm, the building where I was going to be, staying. He gives me this beautiful hug. My dad. And he says something, I don't know, something very, logical and clinical, but it was on the, the lines of, you can do it. You made this decision to be here. Now do it, daughter. Go get it. And so I went back up to my room. I looked outside of the window. I was on the 8th floor. Meridian Hill is no longer there. Meridian Hill. And I looked out, everyone. And I realized that this desire that was in my heart way back in Los Angeles, I was living the desire. I was in Washington, D.C. I was in my own room. I was in the dorm. I was getting ready to start my fall semester at Howard University. And I began to worry in that moment. I began to worry. Tears began to fall down my face. And I began to worry. Can I do this? Did I make a mistake? My family's leaving me. Am I crazy? I don't know a soul here. I knew no one. I began to worry that my desire to attend Howard University may have been a mistake. I felt hopeless and defeated and alone while I was looking out that window of the 8th floor of my dorm building. And then there was a knock at the door. Knock, knock, knock. And I was in tears. I said, yes, who is it? She said, are you okay? I said, no. She said, can I come in? I went to the door, opened the door. There was a young girl, Marlo Merchant, my first friend that I met at Howard University. She said, you're crying. I can hear you in here crying. I said, I'm just, I'm from LA. And she said, okay, it's okay. It's going to be okay. That knock at the door was what saved me from believing that my desire wasn't the right decision. So what's your knock at the door? What's your knock at the door? Marlo Merchant was my knock at the door when I thought my desire of attending Howard University was a mistake. She knocked at my door. She came in. She encouraged me and inspired me and comforted me in that moment of despair that, girl, you gonna be okay. Girl, we gonna get through this together. You fine. You in the right place. You all right. So I ask you, what is your knock at the door so that you can slay worrying over your desires? Now, with that, I'm going to give you just a few keys so that you can always remain consistent in slaying worry. Number one, stay in communication with God. Number one, stay in communication with God. Number two, I want you to be in a spirit of thanksgiving. When things began to seem like they are testing you and you don't know what to do, give thanks. Give thanks. Be in a place of grace and gratitude. Number three, I want you to give up the right to want to control the outcome. You don't have to control it. Let God hear your offering. He says, cast your cares upon him because he cares for us, right? So stop worrying. Give up the right to want to control every step of the way. No, faith, right? Be intentional about always attracting the best possibility, the best outcome. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to not be inside of your circumstances, but I want you to be on top of your circumstances. Okay? I want you to visualize a win-win outcome for yourself in your future. I want you to do that. And here's a bonus. Always put God in your future. When we put God in the future, we don't have to worry. He's going to already work it out. That's why we worry, because we don't see God in the future. That's why. So put God in your future. Always, always, always. So with that, I always like to give some growth work. Today's growth work is this. I want you to write down 5 things you have been stressing over, worrying over, concerned about. I want you to write those 5 things down. And then I want you to tear it up and throw it away and let it go. That's it. That's all I want you to do. I also want you to join me this Friday, ladies. This Friday, April 6th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want you to join me for an awesome breakthrough in your life so that you can get hungry for your desires. I have all the information here in the description area. You're going to meet with me via Zoom. We're going to have a phenomenal breakthrough training. And we're going to understand that we can get hungry for our desires and we can stay hungry. I want you to join me there. I want you to also, if you haven't already, I want you to join me in my Facebook private group, The Maximum Potential Experience. The Maximum Potential Experience. Someone can type that in for me. I want you to go on over to that Facebook page and I want you to join. I will give you elite access there. I do a lot of what I'm doing here, there, but I do it on a much more greater scale. I also want to hear from you via email. So please join my email at maximizemagnificence@gmail.com. Maximizemagnificence@gmail.com. And of course, follow me on Twitter at Deshawn Booker. Follow me on Instagram at Deshawn Booker. I'm also over on Periscope. I'm getting ready to do grand things on Periscope, right? Thank you, Naya, for typing that in for me, for everyone that is here. If you're just joining us, thank you. Watch the replay. Remember to always share the video. Share. Thank you, Kimberly, for typing that in. And someone can also type in my email address, which is maximizemagnificence@gmail.com. Oh, I'm so excited that you allow me into your space, into your lives, because I only want to deposit into you greatness so that we can do what we are called on this earth to do. I am looking forward to tomorrow night. Oh my goodness. Our last little juicy nugget before we have our wonderful, wonderful, wonderful and exciting webinar. Oh, thank you, Naya. Thank you, everyone. Listen, I always want you to know that I appreciate you. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining me in the conversation. Thank you for allowing me to show up for you. And I always like to say, remember that life happens to us. Why do I keep getting that mixed up? Life happens for us and not to us. Life happens for us and not to us. Thank you so, so very much. God bless you. And remember, as always, smooches and deuces. Take wings. Till tomorrow night, I'll see you. God bless you. Hey, live life magnified, everyone. Live life magnified. Ciao, Bella. You're looking good. You're looking good, everyone.